I come from a very large family. I am the oldest of 7 children. There are 4 girls and 3 boys total. I was born in Minnesota and lived in Maple Grove until I was 9 years old. My dad is the middle of 9 children, and on his side of the family, I have nearly 30 cousins. He was working for a family laundry and dry cleaning business until he decided to quit and open up his own business down in Florida. Living there was so much fun as a child because we lived on this small island on the Gulf of Mexico called Anna Maria Island. It was about 12 miles long and a few blocks wide and consisted of 3 cities. The beach was literally a block from our house, and we were always surrounded by the ocean. We also had a pool in our backyard. We walked everywhere and were able to play outside almost year-round. But it wasn't as much fun for my parents. Owning their own business required them to work extremely long hours, and with 7 children, that left no time for relaxing and fun. Plus, the economy down there is very different than up here. The standard of living is a bit lower in Florida, and so after nearly 4 years, my parents decided to move back up here. Both of my parents were from Minnesota, and their families were up here too, so that was a determining factor as well, because family is so important. When we moved back, we ended up living in the same house my dad grew up in, which was kind of neat, but after 4 or 5 years, my parents ended up separating and divorcing. My senior year of high school was not the best, and I ended up being 1 credit shy of graduating. I went to work for my mom, grooming dogs, and got pregnant when I was 19 years old. I had my son Brady when I was 20. Shortly after Brady was born, he was diagnosed with a very rare chromosomal abnormality, which has presented us with many challenges, but also many rewards. I quit working for my mom and went to work for another woman in St. Paul. That is where I fell in love with the city. I was fascinated by the culture, diversity, history, and people. Ultimately, though, I realized that having a child with special needs required me to live in a school district that was well known for having an outstanding special education program. So for us, that city was Lakeville. While in St. Paul, I was in a bad relationship that forced me to move back to Lakeville with my mom and quit my job, and I also went to work for her. That lasted a couple of years, and it is also where I met my boyfriend. He was a customer at my mom's shop, and I ended up getting awesome tickets to a Twins game, so I asked him out. That was 6 years ago, and we are still together. 3 years ago, I decided I didn't want to groom for the rest of my life, so I just decided to come back to school, so here I am. Also, recently this summer, my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer, and he lost his sister. So needless to say, it has not been a very pleasant summer. Fortunately, after a couple months of chemotherapy and now radiation, the mass in his lung has shrunk significantly, so the outlook is promising.